Hey everyone, my name is Neil Karski and I'm the CEO of Patient Engine, a seven-figure digital marketing, lead conversion, and coaching agency for high-ticket aesthetics providers. And I would like to personally welcome you to the Aesthetics Millionaires show, where we sit down with industry entrepreneurs to talk about their personal journeys and discuss proven growth strategies. My genuine hope is that through this podcast, we can create more success stories in this industry and help more business owners scale past their competition. Enjoy the show.
Hey guys, we are here today with Dr. Sam Patel, the CEO of Astra Culture. Sam, how are you?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for hopping on the show. You're the first consultant we've had on the show. We've had practitioners, but you've also had a practice. So tell us a little bit about your history about owning the practice, getting into aesthetics, and becoming a consultant.
Yeah, for sure. Well, hey, I appreciate you having me and definitely love to share our story. You know, I just like everyone else, built my first practice almost 7-8 years ago now. It was in Naperville, Illinois, not too far away from here. And it was an insurance-based practice, you know, it was boring. We did internal medicine, medical weight loss, hormone replacement therapy. We expanded that one clinic to 10 different locations in a span of 4 years. That was exciting. But we realized that the insurance piece of it never really changed. It got worse. So we went into medical aesthetics, built a couple med spas, and had that kind of light shine on us and realize, wow, this is a fun industry. And then those two clinics took off. You know, I had an opportunity to not just grow a dozen practices and learn a lot of the bad and learn a lot of the good. And I took that knowledge and realized, hey, why don't I take this to the world? Why don't I help other people? Because you and I both know this is a space with a lot of learning, and the physicians, I can say this, they're terrible at business and they don't have any clue how to operate and market. So became a consultant, opened up a consulting firm as a hobby, to be honest with you, just to help people. What turned into a hobby turned into a full-time job. So 3 years later, we're in 12 different countries. We have lots of clients. We're very excited to be sharing our knowledge and helping other practice owners on what to do, what not to do. And it's been fun. You know, I'm out of the clinical setting. I'm out of the world of owning them. You know, I've sold out of them, which was a fun journey, and now into this new space. So very excited to be in it. It's a growing field, and I'm excited to learn from you today too.
Awesome. 2 questions for you. One, for the 2 clinics that you built, were they in Chicago?
So all of them were all in Chicagoland. The 2 med spas were in the rural areas of Illinois, so out by Starved Rock, so a little bit further. There were more of the tiny petite communities of, hey, why on earth would you build a practice out there type of community? But those are actually my most successful ventures to date. So,
amazing point you make. I love tier 2, tier 3 markets these days.
Oh yeah.
Why? Because there's not a med spa on every corner.
Yep.
Costs to advertise are lower. With marketing, you're able to generate that demand because people are looking for these types of solutions, or they have considered it in the past, but there's not a lot of providers that do that stuff. So when you're getting those, for example, getting those ads out there, and maybe you can talk about how you were able to scale them, but you're able to get to these people pretty quickly, and you're able to capture that market share, whereas you know, in Chicago, New York, Miami, OC, you have to spend tens of thousands of dollars to get in front of that same audience.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. When I built my first practices out in Chicago, Chicagoland, it was sexy, right? It's like, oh, you have a practice in Chicago and, like you said, Miami and Dallas and Los Angeles. But it's not the best and easiest way to do business anymore. And people have always looked at these smaller communities as who the hell is going to spend money out there. But those people need services where they go, and they're going to the big cities. So not to your point, not only do we have an advantage there because we're absorbing that market share, but it's so cheap to do it. The cost of operation is less. The cost of hiring is less. The cost of paying rent and marketing is more efficient. So you can invest and you have a huge outcome by investing little. So our marketing initiatives are much better. It's easier.
Did you scale with paid ads and when you were opening those spas?
Yeah, good question. So yeah, social media was huge. You know, everyone was on social media. We obviously had a good website. We had good SEO. That helped. You know, good reviews, but everyone was on social media and you could do paid ads. They would have a larger penetration into the market, more people would see it. They wouldn't be clouded and flooded by all the other competitors, and you're just figuring out, who's spending more. That's not my world, definitely yours. But, it was confusing because everyone's after you saying, hey, spend thousands of dollars with me and I'll blow you up. But what are you doing for all the other competitors? They're doing the same. In smaller areas, we don't have to worry about that.
Right. Besides marketing and getting in front of the right audience at a lower cost, what else did you do to help scale that has worked for you? What type of services did you have there that were bringing you a lot of that revenue as well?
Yeah. So originally it was, the traditional Botox, fillers, what everyone has to do to get into the game. I always call Botox the hamburger of the aesthetic industry. And what I mean by that is, if you remember in the 90s, McDonald's launched the 99-cent hamburger campaign. And they made millions of dollars, but they didn't make millions of dollars on 99-cent hamburgers. They made millions of dollars on everything else. The 99-cent hamburger attracted people in. People then bought French fries, bought a milkshake, bought apple pie, a fountain drink, and that's where they made their money. Brilliant. That's what Botox is in the aesthetic world. Botox brings people in. You don't make much money on it. And then you get them to the higher tier services like lasers, microneedling, body contouring. So we started with Botox because we needed our hamburger. We needed to bring people in. And then we started investing in technology, different types of lasers, different types of body contouring. Right now, the biggest craze is medical weight loss. Medical weight loss is huge. Semaglutide, tirzepatide, hormone replacement therapy. Everyone and their mom is wanting to run ads on this. So I would kind of consider that the new hamburger of the industry for now. But we started with the traditional, just like everyone else out there has to. But we diversified. We listened, we diversified, and we realized we're not going to make money on 99-cent hamburgers. We got to bring in those side items, which are the devices and other services.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point. So a lot of what we do, and I'll be very transparent about it, is we run ads that aren't at really high price points, right? Mm-hmm. They're anywhere from $149 to typically $299 for initial promotional value and treatment and consultation. Why is that? Because a lot of people do not want to spend more than that initially before having a relationship with a provider. They need to build trust. They need to understand what the practice looks like. They need to understand if that person who's doing a consultation is going to be the right partner for their transformation. And obviously there's so much competition out there. I mean, there's people are running stuff for like $49, right? Like they're cheap to get everybody and anybody in the door. But it's interesting that you say that, I think, but having that right offer, even for us within those price points, allows us to get a good mix of quantity and quality. And then we also, and we could speak on this a little bit, we support our clients in being able to make that high ticket treatment sale. Because we know, to me, if somebody is looking for Botox, then I know they're looking to improve their facial appearance. Maybe it's rejuvenation, maybe it's anti-aging, maybe it's wanting to look more aesthetically pleasing to friends. Maybe it's they want a facelift. Maybe they want to improve their skincare, all that stuff. So that tells me like, hey, that's a pain point, but that pain point goes beyond just hey, I want, a few units of Botox. It's like, I want my face to look better.
Right.
So now I know that like, I need to talk to them about everything else we could help them with. And this is the approach you took, where it's like, hey, we have Botox, but we have all these other devices, microneedling, lifting, RF, all that stuff that we could actually help you with, and shifting their mindset away from, hey, this is a great initial offer. Of course it was. This is why we advertise it. Right. Gotcha. To, hey, now we need to establish a long-term relationship. Can you touch on that a little bit more?
No, you said something very, very important. Build trust. We have to build trust with our consumers, our patients, and they're not going to take a leap of faith and spend thousands of dollars right out the get-go. A lot of these med spas and clinics, they always complain that patients aren't spending money with me. Well, you're hitting them with the highest priced item. They're not going to resonate with that. You got to build trust. We got to lure them in. Botox is a way to do that. We can run ads, ad campaigns, and of course attract them in with that consultation of 100, 149, 200, like you said, low price point, barrier to entry, brings those people in, and that's where we build trust. I think that's where people realize that that's actually where the journey begins. People think that after they do lead generation with, someone like you, it brings people through the door, and then they say, my leads aren't converting. I'm sure you hear that. My leads aren't converting. The lead conversion rate is terrible. This lead generation firm is terrible. No.
People are saying no to me.
Yeah. People are saying no to me. It's like, well, that's leads are coming through the door. So I think the lead generation's working. It's not their fault that they're not converting. It's your fault. It's the clinic's fault. You have to have a proper consultation, provide value. You have to gain that trust. And I love that you said that, because it takes so much more than just generating a lead. That's one chapter of the book. The second chapter is gaining trust. Third chapter is educating. Fourth chapter is let's build them up the ranks from Botox. Hey, and I saw those acne scars. What are you doing for that? Nothing. I don't know if there's anything out there. There is. I have a product. Having those conversations, building that trust. So people look at, I hear this all the time as a consultant, hear so much stuff of, oh, I have a lead generation and marketing spend out there. They're terrible. It's like, are they though? Like, are they actually terrible, or are you just bad at converting them? Are you just bad at getting them in and keeping them in the door? People come in, they sell Botox, and they don't actually do a good job of talking about and building trust and educating up the ranks.
Yeah, they're like, hey, just come back every 3 months, maybe.
Right. Maybe, right.
Maybe. Yeah, something that we've been talking a lot with our clients and prospects in general is recognizing the importance of a client lifetime journey and how you never know how much money somebody has. You never know who they know. You never know what type of sphere of influence they have. You never know what type of other issues they have,
right?
Or pain points they have that you can solve. So why are you focused so much on the negative, right, which is, oh, they might not buy,
yep,
but more so like, hey, I want to just make sure they have an amazing experience. I want to make sure I make them feel comfortable. I want to make sure I build trust with them, because, man, they can spend a lot of money with me, and I can solve a lot of their problems. We had a client whose patient spent $50,000 in 3 months.
I believe it.
Right? So you never know. And it's typically like, oh, well, they couldn't afford it, or they didn't want to do it, or they just, thought it was a one-time thing. Well, it's up to you to show them the way. It's up to you to sell them. It's up to you to help them believe and trust in what you're going to do for them.
Yep.
Then they're going to spend money with you. Then they're going to open up their wallets. And right. I think a lot of people, the big objection to me, I think 20% of people generally, I don't think are financially qualified, but 80% of people say, I cannot afford it, or this is too much, which I think could be simultaneous terms, because they don't believe in the value of what the person is trying to sell them.
Absolutely. I think that, and it's hard to gauge where the source of the problem is. I can resonate that the people doing the selling, they're nurses, they're physicians, they're estheticians, they're medical assistants. Their background isn't to sell. They're actually terrible at selling. All they're used to doing is treating. They're saying, hey, here's a problem. Maybe they worked in the ER. Maybe they worked in an urgent care dermatology office. They don't have to sell. Someone comes in with a problem. They say, hey, this is the problem. I have the solution. Let's get to work. But then they somehow lose that during the transition in the cash-based world, because now there's a price tag to it. So now they have this feeling of discomfort asking the patient for money, because they're like, oh, that's expensive. So they probably can't afford it. The assumptions come into it, but they don't realize that you're just doing your job. Let's say going to a mechanic. If you go to a mechanic and your car's making noise, it's steaming, you're like, what's going on? You go to the mechanic, they're the expert. They say, this is the problem. This is how we fix it. Here's the cost. What do? You say, let's get it done. You don't question it. Why? Because they're the expert. They don't care about whether you can spend it or not. They are the expert. They're saying, here's your problem. Here's the solution. Here's the price. It's super simple. You're paying them for their expertise. We're no different. In the aesthetics world and the wellness world, they're coming to us with problems. We have solutions. We are the experts to say your face has these issues, your body has these issues. Here's how we fix it. Here's the price. But for some reason, there's a transitional issue with people doing the consultations for asking for money, for asking them to do X, Y, Z. They're like, maybe we'll just do X because they probably can't afford it. We'll forget the Y and Z. No, do your job. Be an expert. They're coming to you guys with concerns. We have to practice good due diligent medicine and aesthetics and wellness and say, you have these problems, non-biasedly, I'm going to prescribe you these things. Here's the cost. Do you want to do it or not? So we lose so much transition, or lose a lot in that transition from the medicine world to the cash-based world because they're not taught how to sell. And they lose the art of actually being good experts. Be an expert, sell. People will buy. Will everyone buy? No, but majority will. People have the ability to spend, but they have to understand the value. They have to be educated. They have to see you as an expert.
Yeah, I find a lot of disconnect between owners and their staff. I think owners or directors of the practice not setting the right expectations, giving their staff targets for what to sell, how to sell, how much to sell. And then, the staff is like, well, do I really need to sell?
Right.
Are they incentivized to sell? Are they getting enough commissions to actually sell?
Right.
Are they have the right process to sell? And you end up getting lucky. Then you're relying on luck to say, oh, this person is just going to buy because, I don't know, maybe you have a nice practice. Maybe they've been wanting to try the device. They're like really proactive buyers,
right.
But most people aren't.
Yeah.
We live in a world where everything is a commodity. Mm-hmm. So unless you're going to really differentiate yourself and build that personalized relationship, they probably won't buy, right? But it's up to you to sell them. And I think, you brought up a really good point. A lot of these nurses and estheticians, I think they're genuinely have a good intentions to help people.
Yeah.
But if there's no transaction, there's no relationship.
Right.
You can't help people. You don't have a client who's committed to you in some way, shape, and form. Right. People need to have skin in the game, right? Yeah. This is why exactly a couple of years ago, we went from being a lead gen company to being basically a predictable client acquisition company and booking appointments with credit cards, deposits on file, because we realized people are not committal these days. Mm-hmm. They're not going to come in for an appointment that they haven't put down a credit card for, right. Unfortunately. So
yeah, I think there's an increasing fear of commitment. We're seeing that because of the generational shift too, right? The 50s, 60s are the baby boomers that we have. That committing, they'll show up, they write it down in their old school notebook of their schedule, they'll show up. But this new generation, 20, 30, even 40-year-olds, commitment's a big issue. So if we can kind of refine that commitment, that's definitely a great tool. So I'm glad you guys have recognized that, because that's a huge issue. But no, you're absolutely right. I think that the leads are there. There's thousands of people that have skin concerns, that have body concerns, that have wellness, hormone, you name it. There's concerns out there. They are willing to fix those concerns. We have the tools to fix them. Now it's just a matter of obviously you guys do a great job of getting them in, but then it's really on the rest of the staff to get them through that patient life cycle, right? Step one is lead gen, is website, is Google, is everything that digital marketing firms do. But then there's so many other steps that go way past your world, but somehow they start blaming the marketing agencies still. It's like, hey, we're not converting our consultations. How is that my problem, right? Like, How is that your problem? You did your job. You got the leads to come and call the clinic, book appointment. Oh, they're cheap people. Or maybe you're just not providing them value, right? The same people they say are cheap, I always say, go out and look at what car they're driving. What kind of watch do they have? What kind of purse are they coming in with? You're going to tell me they're cheap? You just didn't do a good job of providing value. And that falls on the clinic. And that's where I come in. And that's why I'm in business, is because we have the opportunity to help train these people a little bit past the stage of a lead being generated and calling and booking an appointment, and then going through that actual consultation, how to have a proper one, how to do proper treatments with a good quality experience. Then further, how to re-engage patients, whether that's doing events, whether that's emailing, whether that's putting them back into a sales funnel, whatever that looks like, they have to do it. But yeah, it really falls at the mercy of training, or really the lack of it, to be honest.
Do you think providers, I have this conversation a lot with my clients. Do you think providers should hire proactively for somebody with a sales skill set, or should they invest more into training their existing staff? Yep. I know I think there could be arguments made for both, but let's talk about that.
Yeah, I absolutely love this question. Originally I thought when we first built our first clinics and I saw the industry kind of evolve, we always leaned on expecting our own staff, our medical staff, to be able to learn. And I think that was a rude awakening for us, because they would force themselves to learn. They'd be reluctant to learn, even giving them sales training. It's just not in their DNA. I think there's very few medical healthcare trained staff, whether they're nurses, estheticians, MAs, all of the above. Don't even get me started with physicians. They're the worst with selling. But nonetheless, all of these healthcare providers, it's just not in their DNA. And we've tried year after year to figure out how to break through to get them to be more salesy. But we realized we don't have to be salesy. We just have to educate. So we've re-facilitated their role and say, get in the room and educate. Talk, look past the transaction, see a patient for what they are. If they have scarring, if they have skin laxity, say how you're going to address this issue. Be educational. Go back into your foundational role of educating, because that's what nurses, esthetician, they're really good at educating. And we realize that if they educate, that actually sells itself. So can actual current members on staffs, like nurses, like estheticians, like medical assistants, have the opportunity to sell? Yes, by educating, going more of a, hey, let's be a counselor, right? They're therapists. I tell people we're all therapists. The MA is a therapist. The front desk is the therapist. We're here to listen to patients. If we listen to patients, we're going to extract a lot, and then we hit them with, here are the solutions. We educate. Education has now sold. However, your other point, should we hire someone in a specific sales role? I think that's a great idea. I think having a hybrid model has worked quite well. What that means is you have someone do the bulk of the consultation, the educating part, maybe a provider. And then someone maybe is in the room that is that sales coordinator, or a patient concierge. That sounds more sexy, right? A client concierge. And they take over the conversation when the education's done. So a physician comes in the room, nurse comes into the room, nurse practitioner comes into the room, whatever it is. They do the educating, they do the diagnosing, they create the plan, they exit. Client concierge stays in the room, they take over and start talking about packages, treatment opportunities, plans, pricing, financing options, because they're more comfortable in that role. They're more personable. That's their thing. So we've noticed this hybrid model working quite well, but not everyone has the luxury of having that many staff members. So if you are kind of stuck and only have a few providers or have only medical staff, educate. Don't sell, educate, because that will sell.
Yeah. I think what we've seen with our clients is, some of these services you can do with non-medical staff.
Yep.
Obviously, you can do consultations with non-medical staff.
Yep.
I think, like you said, technical things have to be covered by professionals.
Absolutely. Yep.
But I think a lot of the conversations, right? What we've seen with our clients, what has worked and what's worked in my practice, is the questions aren't always specifically around the technical things. Those questions are helpful to come up with a good treatment plan, but it's the why.
Yep.
That really drives the conversation forward as far as we're talking about actually selling those treatment plans. Mm-hmm. Why are you here? Why now?
Yep.
What is this going to help you achieve? What is the timeline? Who's this transformation going to impact?
Yep.
Those things that go deeper on a personal level rather than the surface level of, hey, as you get some wrinkles, I think we can fix them.
Right.
To, hey, how is this going to make you feel?
Yeah.
Right? Because when people look better, they feel better. What else have you tried? How much money did you spend on it?
Right.
What do you do for a living?
Yep.
All those questions we found were super helpful to build that relationship and trust. And a lot of these people end up just selling themselves, quite frankly.
We have to make it their idea, right?
Yeah.
If we are saying, here's the solution, here's an idea for you, and they don't believe in it, it's hard to sell someone. If we make it their idea, like asking the questions you said, then they convince themselves, which is why educating is so nice. You mentioned also something is that we have to create these ideas. We have to ask questions. We have to have conversations, build the trust, build a rapport. We're here to solve problems as well, right? That's all we're doing. We're problem solvers as clinicians, as medical assistants, MAs, as estheticians. We're here to solve problems. They're coming in with the problem. We're understanding that problem. We're figuring out how has that problem impacted your life? How has it impacted your feelings? How has it impacted your emotions? And making them talk about it. And then after listening, we hear the problem. Now we solve the problem. And it's a pretty beautiful harmony, but we see in consultations, people come in, I have these wrinkles. Okay, you should do Botox. You should do microneedling.
Oh shit.
Right? It's like, but like there's no conversing, right? I do a lot of these practice audits and I go in and I secret shop people.
Can you tell us a little bit more about your typical engagements so the listeners can kind of learn more about Sam and Astra and the type of work you guys do?
So, we started out as this boutique kind of, medical consulting firm that helped practices just go through simple day-to-day problems.
You're focusing on aesthetics now more so than anything else, right?
I would say aesthetics is the big bulk, but we have seen a huge influx. So we have practices of all specialties. We have a lot of dental practices right now, chiropractic practices right now, family medicine, internal medicine. OBGYN.
All those are adding aesthetics right now.
Exactly. I was going to say it's not for their traditional actual services like dentistry and chiropractic.
Well, they want to grow they're realizing, I'm maybe tapped out a little bit in what I'm doing right now, unless I open another practice. So maybe I have 2 more rooms.
Yep.
Let's make it a spa. We just signed up a dental clinic.
I love it. I love the dental practices.
Aesthetics. Yeah.
Dental practices are going hard into aesthetics. And then on top of that, chiropractic into aesthetics. Aesthetics has always been deemed Botox fillers, but aesthetics obviously goes much further, right? It goes into body contouring. It goes into skin laxity. For the example, the dentist, they put these expensive veneers in, right? $20,000, $30,000, $60,000. But then everywhere else, their face is jacked up, right? It's like you got these nice teeth, but the rest of your face is messed up. It's deflated. So we need to fill it. We need to contour it. We need to tighten it. But the dentists are like, well, go somewhere else to do that. The dentists are being smart now. I love it. They're going into this industry. They're going in really hard. We're seeing a huge influx. The chiropractors, let's use them as an example. They're working on back pain. They're working on people's spines and working on correction of their posture. But what's the culprit? Weight. The culprit is fat. The culprit is having too much adipose tissue or just having too much of a BMI. So they're saying, why don't I bring in body contouring? Why don't I bring in semaglutide? Why don't I bring in weight loss and hire a medical director? They're becoming smart. So we love this. And that's why our firm has grown so fast, is because there's so many people coming to this space, not just the derms. Those guys are, typical in the med spa space. Plastics, typical. But we have OBGYNs. Why? They're the perfect client. It's a post-pregnancy, pre-pregnancy woman who's going to have all these changes of their body, and we're here to fix them. So OBGYNs are building med spas. It's a really exciting time in the industry because we're seeing it morph into different worlds, but still have its own integrity. But with that are challenges. OBGYNs have no idea how to own and operate a med spa that's cash-based. Chiropractic, dentistry, they know a little bit more than usual because they are cash-based somewhat. But all these specialty clinics, they want to get into this space, but they don't know how. That's where we've grown, because we show them the path of how to hire proper people, how to train them. We clinically train them. So if someone wants to do a semaglutide program, they're like, our providers don't know how to do this. They've never done it. Let's train you. So that has been huge for us. But also, like you mentioned, people are dealing with insurance typically. The world of sliding a glass door, slapping a clipboard and asking for an insurance card, that's what these people are used to. There is nothing customer service oriented about
And that
insurance.
world is shifting too because of high deductibles and
absolutely.
Processing times.
Yep. We're seeing a huge increase in this direct primary care concept.
Yeah. And just waiting to get paid, not getting paid the full amount.
Right. They wait 6 months to get $80 for a $300 billable. I mean, come on. I can sell a package of my, I don't know, M-Scope Neo BTL device, and I can make $3,000 in 30 minutes. And they're just like, why am I not doing this? I should do this, not just for the money, but because it's fun. Patients are needing it and you're outsourcing it to someone else. And it's a great industry. But the question is, how do I transition? And that's where also I think people like you guys are such a good fit, because marketing isn't such a huge thing. I mean, people are going to go to their Blue Cross Blue Shield, Aetna, and figure out who's a provider. That's how they get their leads, is through insurance. And even some of these people have terrible websites because they have never needed one. But when they go into this cash-based world, all of this becomes needed. You have to have lead gen, you have to have social, you have to have a website, SEO, Google, all this stuff. And they're just like, wait, what?
Yeah, and then I have to sell these people?
Right, exactly.
What?
It's a cultural shift.
They're not going to just buy?
Right. So
what do you think is going to happen when we have these providers? Because I think obviously health and wellness and aesthetics is kind of merging.
Yeah. Definitely.
And converging.
They're married together.
Right. So what do you think is going to happen when we have dental clinics, chiropractors, medical clinics who are everybody's doing aesthetics? What do you think that's going to do to the market? Obviously, increased competition is the obvious answer to that, but let's talk about it for a second.
Yeah, no, I think that's, I just had this conversation yesterday on the phone. And it was with one of my colleagues, and we were talking about this. There's so many people going into this space, which is exciting, but it's also terrifying, because now, we hear this term, saturated. Is it too saturated? And I've always hated that terminology, because there's enough patients out there, right? Here in the city of Chicago, there's one skyscraper and there's 6 people that have the same device in one building, and they're all killing it. But why? It's because they all different specialties. The dental people keep their loyalty, so they're going to have transactions with their patients. The chiropractic are going to keep their patients. The OBGYNs are going to keep their patients. So I think that we'll have enough people out there to all be successful. But you bring up a good point. Now that these non-traditional, non-core specialties are coming into this space, what is that going to do? How is that going to, that's terrifying from a marketing output too, because now there's so many people. It's great for business, but also terrible, because how are we going to compete with each other? I think it's a matter of finding how each of these practices can still be unique. So for example, the dentist, they're not looking at fine lines and wrinkles the same way that a med spa would. Dentistry, they're saying, hey, let's get your veneers put in. Let's get your face to be tightened so we can show off the veneers. So it's a different marketing pitch. Same thing with chiropractors. They're not pitching it as body contouring. They're pitching it as rehabilitation of your body. So we're going to correct your spine. We're going to go through all of these, postural corrections, but we're also going to get rid of some fat. So they're pitching it and marketing it in unique ways. Yeah. So similarly with the OBGYNs, post-pregnancy, postpartum care packages.
Get rid of the mommy.
Right.
Wait,
so I think all these specialists coming into this space is exciting. The marketing is going to be the confusing part, but I still think each person in each practice that has a specific specialty can still be unique to where it's not going to be a competitive space. I'm scared for the med spas, but the med spas will prevail, because not everyone, if I want Botox, I'm not going to go to an OBGYN. I'm going to go to a med spa, right?
Yeah.
I don't have a derm. I'm going to go to a med spa. I don't have a plastic surgeon. I'm going to go to med. So the med spas will still be fine, but it's going to be interesting how each of these people market uniquely to still have opportunity.
Yeah. And competition forces people to just be better.
I agree. I think that's why the experience piece of it is becoming more and more important. I said this in a talk that I did recently. I said, products and services will get patients in the door, but their experience with you is what will keep them there, because everyone's going to have the same stuff increasingly. Everyone has the same Botox. Everyone has the same microneedling technology. Everyone has the same body and lasers. So what's going to make you different is that trust that you mentioned. That is going to make people differentiated, that experience, that trust, that reputation you build. How seen are you? Are you digitally present? Are you running consistent ads? Are you running consistent digital, rehabs and upgrading your site, upgrading your Google SEO, upgrading all of these things? I think that's really going to define who makes it at the end.
Yeah. And from my standpoint, people are going to need to spend more marketing. you have to, right? Marketing is an auction. All these digital platforms, they're auctions, right? TV's not performing well anymore.
Yeah.
You're not going to get Botox from a newspaper, right?
Yep.
So it's going to be differentiating yourself, like you said. It's going to be really dialing in all your digital assets and your presence. It's going to be spending more money on marketing. It's going to be, hey, I have to learn how to sell. Otherwise, this is not going to work out. Like if you don't learn how to sell, we know this very well. I mean,
yeah,
you either have to shut down or you have to learn how to master high ticket sales. We know that. And maximizing customer lifetime value. Once you have a customer, keep them forever as much as you can.
Yep.
Provide them with more value and services, right? So all these principles, which may seem pretty simple and not rocket science, are going to, I think, become so much more important because there's going to be a med spa on every corner, right? You're going to get coffee, then you're going to get a spa treatment.
Yeah.
Medical clinics, whatever you want to call them, right? Integrative health and wellness and aesthetics practices, right? Which we're seeing pop up.
Huge.
But we know aesthetics is one of the highest margin service type businesses, right? So
it is. It's very advantageous. There's a lot of opportunity. It's very lucrative, but you have to do all the other pieces. And I think for everyone listening, I was naive too. I'll admit it. When I built my first practice, which was insurance based, I got a bootleg website overseas for a couple grand, and I was like, "That's great. That's a lot of money." And because you didn't need to have a great website. People found you through referrals and insurance websites. And I had no digital presence. I had no social media. I barely had a Google listing. And then you shift to this world of cash-based, which is exciting. All this aesthetics, wellness, super exciting. But we don't transition our mindset to realizing you can't do bootleg marketing in this world. In this world of cash, you have to do marketing because there's so much competition, and people are judging you based off of if you show up. If you don't show up, they're going to your competitor because there's so many competitors. So going from this insurance mindset, all of the listeners that are, hey, I'm in this world of insurance and I want to do aesthetics, I want to do med spa, I want to do wellness. Great. You should do. It's exciting, but you also have to do a few other things. You have to evolve into spending more in marketing, spending diligently on Google, on website, on social, all of it, right? There's no right or wrong. But as to your point, the old school methods, it's the newspapers, the $2,000 magazine ads, and the magazine comes in the mail and goes right in the garbage. Why are people doing that? That $2,000 can go so far digitally.
Right.
So people need to shift their mindset out of this weird traditional old school world of insurance and doing this old school marketing, or not doing marketing at all. And you have to be shifting your mindset to spending appropriately and smartly and effectively in marketing. And if you're saying, no, I shouldn't do that, you're going to fail. You're going to get eaten up. I'll come buy you out. Call me. I mean, that's what the reality is.
Right. Yeah. That resonates with me. I opened my spa 45 days ago.
Oh, awesome. That's exciting.
In Chattanooga, Tennessee, which is a tier 2 market.
Yeah.
I like tier 2 markets, like I said, because they're not as competitive.
Yeah.
Still a good metro area.
Mm-hmm.
There's income for sure.
Yeah.
And we did 60K in 45 days, just
That's
right off the
solid.
bat.
That is solid.
One provider, one room, mind you, tiny spa.
I like it.
Crushed it, right? And people have been asking me, like, how'd you do it? How'd you do it so fast?
Yeah.
What worked? I'm like, same thing we've been doing with our clients. A lot of money in paid ads. We start at $100 a day in paid ads. So that's actually not a lot of money, but we have since increased our budget. But paid ads, using Patient Engine to just get people in the door. Mm-hmm. We want traffic. We want volume, right? We know we're going to get, 80% of these people are going to be quality, and we want to sell 40 to 50%. So we're at 58% right now, sales conversion, which is great.
That's good.
Average
especially starting out. That's really good.
And average ticket is about $2,500 for a treatment, for a body sculpting treatment plan. We're just doing non-invasive body sculpting right now. And we've established a couple of strategic partnerships with other providers. I think we have like a couple of hairstylists that are referring their clients.
Smart.
And we have plans to expand, but we used a simple formula. One, we have a really great, amazing brand. It's called Iconic Spa. I bought iconicspa.com. I didn't think it would be available.
Wow, you got lucky with that.
Yeah, I think it was $3K, so it was good.
Yeah.
We have a really good brand, like a luxury brand, even for a small spa. We have all of our materials are custom designed. Everything is luxury, but simplicity.
Yeah.
Black and white colors. And we have a really good Google My
Sounds
Business
like a good
page.
experience
Yeah.
coming in.
Yeah, it definitely is. Definitely is.
awesome.
People are like, hey, when we come in, when I was building all the processes for our practices that we actually share with our clients right now with Patient Engine, because we want them to be successful, I said, we have to have a step-by-step process because we can't fuck up the first client visit, right?
No, you can't.
We have to be early. We have to give water. We have to provide them with a robe. We have to make sure that the spa is clean.
Yep.
We have all the right materials there. And we want to make sure we make them feel comfortable, right? So we actually end up, I know you work a lot with device companies. I have device partners. We actually went to a manufacturer and we got Iconic Spa equipment,
Nice.
which is a little bit of a different approach.
Yeah.
And which is cool because people see it. They're like, wow, the devices have Iconic Spa on them. Right. They're like, you guys must be doing something right, even if you're a new practice. And then we, like you said, we started selling what people need, not what people just think that they want.
Right.
And we sell them to help them. And I have an amazing consultant. Her name's Ashley, and I trained her really well. She's trained with some of my clients. And I was like, listen, our goal is sales. I know you get the technicals. I know you can get clients results. We have the devices. We have the protocols to give them to take home.
Yep.
But we got to sell. And she knew it. She's like, hey, I want to make money. She gets commissions for obviously selling treatment plans. She also gets bigger commissions for sourcing her own clients, which is another marketing channel, right?
Makes sense.
So she's incentivized to promote it on her social media to her friends and family and colleagues. But yeah, we've been, like you said, we've been getting booked up.
That's awesome. That's really exciting. I think, incentivization is huge. I'm glad you mentioned that because when you're having it run itself and, you're not there and you want this to be passive. I think a lot of these entrepreneurs and physicians and nurses and whoever it is building these med spas, they want it to be passive, but then they try to actively do things because they're not commissioning. They're greedy. And I get it because they're coming from this insurance world. You're not used to commissioning your nurses. You're not used to getting performance bonuses to anyone. But when you come into this med spa wellness world, you have to they have to feel like it's their business too, right? Like she has a business within your business technically.
Exactly.
And that makes them feel motivated, makes them feel invested because they're seeing the reward. I mean, hell, if we're making tens of thousands of dollars, I want them to make money too. We can't just pay them basic and us make lots of money. That's going to build resentment. It's definitely not going to motivate them. What you've done is brilliant because it's not done as frequently as we would think, right? We have to bonus and have performance bonuses and have motivation because that makes it a team effort. That's why you're able to sit with me and have this conversation while that spa's making great money because they're running it for you because you've trusted them, but also because they're being rewarded too. So
exactly.
That's huge.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to take care of your people, man.
Oh yeah.
Take care of your people. I mean, if they're selling for you and you got money in a bank, there's no reason why you shouldn't take care of them. I think everybody on a certain frequency or level is somewhat financially motivated, some more than others, but no one ever complained about getting paid more money.
The world runs on money, right? I mean, you're absolutely right. No one's going to say, I want more money because especially in healthcare, no one's going to physically say that, but no one's going to reject it. It's providing opportunity. But I think that old school entrepreneurs, old school physicians and providers that go into this space, they're greedy. And you can't be, not in this industry, not if you're going to survive. And as well as I do, staffing is hard. It's so hard to find people nowadays. Before it was easier.
And turnover.
Oh, it's so high in this industry. And what do? They say, hey, you're not paying me enough. Where do they go? They go to your competitor and they take all the client trust and all that stuff that you work so hard to build, and they take everything with them, especially with this non-compete stuff going on now. It's scary. So we have to take care of our staff. We have to show them loyalty for them to show it back. So you're absolutely right.
Yeah, I I told her, I was like, hey, listen, like you have an opportunity to, as we grow this spa to maybe train new hires to maybe we'll expand to more locations and you're going to help to open those. Like I have a big vision and I communicated my vision to her and she sees it. She buys into it, and there's a lot of positivity. I said, I'm tough on her. I said goals. I want her, but that keeps her motivated, She told me, she's like, sometimes I'm a little sluggish, but when we chat, I get motivated, I get hyped up, I'm ready to sell, I'm ready to help these people. I know if I don't sell them, I'm not going to have an opportunity to help them. So yeah, it's, having the right staff in place is absolutely key. Some key advice that you give your clients potentially. I know we covered a lot of points today. If we had to boil it down to like Sam's like 3 key things, what would it be? I know you do a lot of consulting engagements. For everybody listening and watching this, 3 key pieces of advice.
Yeah, number 1 is take risks. And I say that so quickly because this world has risk. Every opportunity, every investment has a risk. And the world of transitioning into this cash-based world, you lose a little bit of that stability because there's so much unknown. How much am I going to lose? Is this going to work? If I spend money on marketing, that's too much of a risk. I should buy that device? No, that's too much of a risk. I should hire a staff member? No, I'll do it all. It's too much of a risk. Everyone's so risk adverse, and I get it. It's not fun taking risks, but take it.
It's business.
It's business. Being an entrepreneur, you accepted risk. The word entrepreneur in the definition, there should be the word risk taker because that's what we are. So definitely take risks. Number 2, hire smart. You can't do it all. If this business has a lot of opportunity, and just like you've already seen, hire smart people, be loyal, take care of your people. Being an entrepreneur, being a business owner is about building relationships. That's our job. We build relationships with our staff to give them power. We build relationships with our customers. So you're a relationship builder. You're a risk taker and you're a relationship builder. And then on top of that, don't get comfortable is number 3. Easy, don't get comfortable. Now,
can I interject for a second? That's huge. So I've had clients for a long time and I loved them. So no stab at them, but it's, we see that clients don't increase their ad budgets. And we say, increase your ad budgets. 2 things. 1, you're going to make more money because we're going to get you more clients.
Yeah.
Do you want more money? You want to just be comfortable where you're at. Number 2, digital marketing is never going to get any cheaper.
No.
Right?
It's more competitive each day.
And it's directly related to, people don't know this, but to the value of the dollar, right?
Sure.
And inflation impacts advertising.
Yep.
So invest more because maybe you won't grow always, but you'll be able to pace or outpace what's going on, the value of the dollar with your competition, etc. So great point.
No, I mean, to that point is like I mentioned, that third advice is not getting comfortable. That actually ties into it. People say, hey, that marketing budget or that employee or 2 employees, or I'm comfortable where we're doing just fine. We'll continue to grow. But you have to reinvest money back in to grow, right? If you're not taking risk, guess who is? Your competitor. So someone needs to take the risk. You might as well be the one to do that, risking reinvesting money, risking your time, risking hiring better staff or whatever it is. You're absolutely right. If you grow, so does everything else. If you grow, maybe you have to grow and invest in a bigger space. Maybe you have to invest and bring on new staff members. Maybe you have to invest in a better digital presence. Maybe you have to reinvest in more ad spend. That's how you grow. You have to keep feeding the beast being your business. If you're still feeding it the same amount and it's grown, how do you expect it to grow too with the same amount of input? You have to increase the input with marketing, increase the input with diversifying your services and bringing on more staff. If you don't, you won't grow and you'll be mediocre. And then your competition, who is taking the risk, they're going to outcompete you. So absolutely, you have to reinvest. You have to reinvest in all areas, definitely marketing.
Sam, this is super valuable. I appreciate you coming on. Where can people find you and your business?
Yeah. Hey, well, I appreciate you having me. Thank you. And for those of you that are, definitely wanting to engage more, have great conversations, Instagram is great. It's the Sam.Patel. And on top of that, astraculture.com. So ASTRA culture as the word.com. So happy to engage with people that are just wondering, want to hear more, want to have great conversations, need help. I mean, we all need it. I think there's a lot of great resources like you, like us, and a lot of people are scared to ask for help. So I appreciate you, creating platforms like this to have great discussions, because this industry is fun and it's all about sharing knowledge. So excited to share more knowledge with the viewers out there.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Sam.
Appreciate it. Thanks.